talking black and blue, where the rivalries run deep and every Sunday is a battle. I'm your man, Wil McCann, and along with my partner, Tellis Everett, we're a couple of fans from the heart of the Midwest, bringing you weekly breakdowns from the NFC North, the black and blue division. So whether you wear green and gold, Honolulu blue, purple and gold, or you rep the monsters of the Midway, you are in the right place. So lace up, strap in, and let's talk black and blue. Tell us, my man, what is up?
What's going on, Wil McCann? Hey, friends and kinfolk, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you for supporting the Black and Blue podcast. Tell all your football friends how much fun we have over here. As you know, Will and I are real estate agents in the state of Michigan. So if you know anybody that's talking about buying, selling, or investing in the next 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months, hit us up for our winning game plan in real estate. Wil McCann, let's get into the business season.
Yes, man, we're kicking off the business season. The league year started last week, Wednesday. We're a week into the new league year. The business season has begun, where teams are starting to execute their business and getting their rosters together for the 2026 season. So we're going to talk today about changes to all the teams in the division, to each team in the division, talk about what some of those changes mean, and then what work the teams have left to do and where they may be looking in the draft to fill some of those needs. So let's get into it right away, man. Let's start with the, well, tell us, before we start, tell me any key signing in the division jumps off the page to you that you think is the most significant so far?
The most significant so far is the Kyler Murray signing by Minnesota.
Now, did I lob you that softball high enough? Did I get it up to the plate high enough, bro?
Right, exactly. Simply because if he ends up being the starter, and I think that's why they bring him in to set him up as a starter and to give JJ time to grow as a quarterback, as a professional quarterback in the NFL. But the thing is if Kyler Murray stays healthy, he can get you two more games, two more wins, and you guys are in the playoffs. The Vikings are in the playoffs. So I think that's the most significant move. We talked about Dalman retiring. I thought that was significant. And there's been a lot of movement on the Chicago Bears line, offensive line
Yep.
too. So there's some stuff going on. We're going to try and unpack as much as we can, but the news just keeps coming.
Yeah, it is nonstop, man. In fact, I was going to say, as we show you information today, it will probably have changed by the time you actually see it.
Right.
I just put some of this data together this morning, and then as I'm getting ready to sit down, I hear of other changes being made in the division. People are still getting signed. Teams are still out here signing contracts with players. So
Right,
the
right.
business season is underway, and it will be nonstop up until and through the draft. And we'll
Right.
talk about that here in a minute.
Is there a move for you that's been significant?
I that one would be for me. It's the one that stuck out the most. I laid it out there for you because you've been all over that, man. You've asked some great poll questions around that. So yeah, it is the most significant one so far. And I agree. You kind of were out in front of seeing it coming too. That that's probably where Minnesota was gonna lean. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that Kyler Murray to Minnesota is the most significant change so far of any team.
Right. And the reason why I felt that they needed to make that move is because they have a really good roster. They have a playoff roster. They just didn't have the quarterback
Right,
last season.
right.
So they had to do something because they couldn't run it back with JJ just the way it is. And I
Yeah,
anticipate that they'll
that
bring I anticipate that they'll bring someone else in, another quarterback, a veteran quarterback to stabilize that room because neither one of those one or two, whatever order they're going to be in,
mhm.
have been able to stay on the field all season.
That has been a concern. That has been a concern, and we'll get into
Right.
that when we
Yep.
start talking about the teams. But yeah, man, I agree with you.
Yep.
All right, so let's start here. Let's start by talking about the Chicago Bears. All right, so let's talk about the Chicago Bears here. And let's start by talking about some of their key losses. They lost safety Kevin Byard, the guy who I picked as the defensive player of the year in the NFC North in 2025. He is moving on. He was a key cog for them. Nashawn Wright, one of their starting corners, has moved on. They've lost Tremaine Edmonds, a starting linebacker. Wide receiver Alameda Zacchaeus has moved on. He was more of a rotational player, special teams guy for them. Dominique Robinson is moving on, as well as defensive tackle Chris Williams and tight end Durham Smythe, again, another depth player. And one name that's not listed here is the retirement of center Drew Dahlman, another key loss for the Chicago Bears. Anything stick out for you, Tellis, as far as the losses for the Chicago Bears are concerned?
The retirement of Dahlman was important. I think losing the safety, that might be an issue for them, but I know we're going to talk about additions. They picked up a pretty good safety. So I think and we'll get into it. I think for the Bears, they really need to kind of tighten up what's happening on their offensive line because they lost more than just that center. So where are you at on this?
I agree with you. I think Tremaine Edmonds is going to be a key loss for them as linebacker. Also, he's been a key cog for them. And again, the retirement of Drew Dahlman, losing one of their tackles. Also, I know they brought Braxton Jones back, but he's more of a rotational player. Don't expect him to be a starter for them this season or to have a lot of impact. So yeah, I think Byard and Dahlman, whenever you're losing your center, your starting center, even though it took him a while to get going last year, a veteran of his stature, you knew he would. So yeah, I think that's going to be key, trying to replace him in the middle of that offensive line.
And didn't they lose DJ Moore as well?
Yeah, DJ Moore. They traded DJ Moore. That is another name
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a sneaky major move right there.
And I think DJ Moore, losing DJ Moore, I think they felt like, even though he was their best receiver, I agree with you. I
Yes.
think they felt like they could absorb that. That again is part of what I call feeding the cap during the business season. And you couldn't afford to keep him. And they have the development of both Luther Burden and Romeo Odunze. So as long as those guys continue to develop, they feel like they could absorb the loss of DJ Moore. But again, now their three receiver rotation is not as good because they don't have somebody the caliber of DJ Moore there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think he was due like 22 million or something like that as a signing bonus.
They signed them to a big number, and it's again it's the salary cap game, right?
Right.
When they weren't very good, they could sign them to a big contract. Now that they appear to be a better team and they need more defensive players, they can't afford to keep them on the team. Somebody has to get fed to the cap.
Right.
All right, and let's talk about some of the guys they've re-signed. And all the guys they've re-signed to me are all rotational players, depth players, especially the backup quarterback. That probably was important for Ben Johnson. Excuse me, to keep some continuity in the quarterback room, to keep a veteran like Case Keenum, who has been in the system, knows the message, and is able to continue to assist in the development of Caleb Williams. And let's talk about the key additions to the Bears. We talked about the loss of Drew Dahlman, or the retirement of Drew Dahlman, which opened a hole there. They decided to bring over Garrett Bradbury from Atlanta. They bring over safety Kobe Bryant from Seattle. Uh, Devin Bush is a veteran who's been in this league. I guess a guy to replace Tremaine Edmonds at linebacker. One of my favorite players, man. My son and I love Khalif Raymond. Yes, we'll talk about Khalif in a minute, but Khalif comes over.
Uh,
They bring in Neville Gallimore. They bring him in. And in the defensive backfield, they bring in Cam Lewis and Kentavious Street on the edge. Bring him in to get him in that rotation on the edge. And they've re-signed Jedrick Wills, I'm sorry, to be a rotation tackle for them. So yeah, those are the additions. Anything stick out with the additions for you?
that Kobe Bryant signing uh, in 2025 for the Seahawks, he was just outstanding. I think he had 39 solo tackles at the safety position. Uh, 27 assists on those, four interceptions. Just part of that Seahawks defense that allowed them to get to the championship and win the championship by shutting
Yeah,
down teams.
yeah,
So that's a really great signing for the Bears. We talked about it all season, right? How can you give up the most yards in passing, the most yards in running, and still be competitive? Uh,
right, right.
this particular addition allows you to change those numbers and still be effective in the takeaway.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
how I see
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant is one of those guys who just finds himself around the football all the time. Love
Hmm.
guys like that. Um, Kevin Byard, as I said, I selected Kevin Byard as my defensive player of the year in the division last year. And so you would think losing a guy like that impacts the team. I actually think Chicago got better
Right.
in that position by making that change with Kobe Bryant. You and I talked about the ability to sustain uh, getting turnovers as a means to winning. That, and I would say that that's not sustainable. The only way you can make it sustainable, because it will not happen with the same group of guys, the law of averages will just catch up with you, right? But it is possible if you just change guys. And maybe you can get a new group of guys who can catch that lightning in a bottle and get a bunch of turnovers.
That's that's what you're hoping happens, but
But Kobe Bryant, I agree with you. Kobe Bryant is a good football player.
right.
I think Devin Bush to replace Tremaine Edmonds. Devin will definitely impact the run game, right? He'll definitely fill his gaps on the run game in the run game.
Hmm.
I don't think he's as good a pass defender, a cover defender as Tremaine Edmonds. So they might be losing a little bit there, but Devin will definitely impact the run game for them.
Right. And I don't want to lose sight of how important it is that they picked up a quality center in a trade, right? The development that Caleb had was directly related to how well that line played,
Yes.
right? So hopefully for the Chicago Bears, Caleb is getting with Garrett and they're watching film together and getting ready for the season because he's going to need that individual to he's the quarterback on the line,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
He's a
Yes.
quarterback on the offensive line. So
Yes.
the two of them, Caleb and Garrett, they got to be on the same page
Yes. Yes.
as far as reading those defenses and anticipating where defensive players are going to be and making sure that the other players are in the right position to make the plays. Because if you, for the Chicago Bears, if you want to continue the growth that you have to have significant solid play from the offensive line. It's the
Absolutely.
only way that Caleb
Absolutely.
gets better is
Absolutely.
because we're saying that Caleb needs to stand in the pocket or at least not retreat,
Hmm.
right?
At least not run backwards, right?
Right. And the only way that happens is if he believes in the offensive line and he
Yes,
doesn't have to
exactly.
bail too early and he
Yes,
continue to make throws or doesn't have to scramble unnecessarily. If they can eliminate some of that play and get more positive yards from him, then yeah, the potential is unlimited.
right.
And
Exactly.
like we talked about last week, he could end up being the Chicago Bears' greatest quarterback in the history,
And it won't take much, right?
right? Because we had to go all the way back to 1927.
Right.
So, so yeah, I don't want to overlook how important Bradbury is. His
Yeah,
his play.
Bradbury will be important for them because it at least gives them a veteran. I don't think he's as good a player as Dahlman was, but he's a guy with over 100 starts at center
Yep.
in this league. So he's a veteran who comes over who'll be able to set the protections for him, right? He'll
Hmm.
be able to, like you said, communicate with the quarterback and make sure they have the protection set. I don't know if he'll be able to execute them as well as Dahlman did, especially in the run game. He may be able to hold up as well in the pass game. I think they will miss Dahlman more in the run game. But yeah, having a veteran who has significant starts in the NFL at the center position, I think is important.
Right, right. So what's the take on Khalif Raymond?
He is. I can't remember my man's name. The guy who does Monday Morning Quarterback. Um, but he was talking about Khalif Raymond. He says, you just overlook the guy all the time, but he always makes one big play every game. And my son says Khalif Raymond has to be the hardest working dude on the team. Because you look at the guy and you just see nothing in him. Right? He's a little dude. He's not big. He's fast. Doesn't have particularly great hands, but he always seems to make plays. He's got to be the best practice player there is because he doesn't look like anything, but the guy is always out there making plays.
Right, right. I think it's a nice pickup for Chicago. He was with the Lions for 5 years, played under Ben Johnson,
Yes.
so he knows what the offense is. The problem for Khalif Raymond, and to your son's point, is that he had to play behind a few really good receivers, and the only way he was getting time or bumping up from the fourth or third receiver,
Mm.
uh, I mean, even he wasn't even fourth or third because you had the tight end situation going on, and then they were trying to get the backs out of the field for receiving too. But he only had 27 or 24 receptions last year.
And that's about how many? A little over one a game, about one and a half a game, right?
Right,
But that's who he is. He's a number three receiver. When you get into your 11 personnel, he's that third receiver that will run the football for you on
right.
those jet sweeps, power sweeps. He can run the football for you, and he will be your return man. So
But
that, and then like you said, he'll catch that one pass a game for a first down.
yeah. But he might have a chance to be a number two in Chicago. He was playing behind Amon Ra and J-Mo, so
And in
the
Chicago, he's going to be playing behind Roma Dunze and Luther Burden. he he
yeah,
ain't
but
going to
those
have
but those
either
guys
one of
are
those guys.
I feel you. I completely understand, but I think there's a smaller margin between one, two, and three in Chicago than there is and then there was in Detroit. There was one,
Yeah,
two, and
until
then there was a log drop off to three.
until Burton shows better, I would agree with that. But I think Luther Burden's going to be a player too. And then you got to think they've got both uh, Colston Loveland and Cole Komet. So they've got two tight ends, who are great receivers also. So,
Well, hey, I'll just say this: big brain Ben Johnson, he wouldn't sign him if he didn't have a player two already ready for him.
like I said, he's good for that one play a game. It's going to be, he'll probably get two. He'll probably get a jet sweep. He probably will have 24 carries and 24 receptions again this year. And he
Yeah,
will be their kick and punt returner. And the reason he's over there is because they paid him more than Detroit was willing to pay him.
right, right, exactly.
All right, let's talk about the second place team in the division last year. Where am I? The Green Bay Packers. And some of their losses, they lost Romeo Dobbs. Romeo just couldn't stay healthy over there, man. Malik Willis goes down to Miami and becomes a quarterback there. They trade Rashawn Gary to the Cowboys. They lose Quay Walker in free agency. Kingsley Nagbar is also moving on. Kobe Wooden from their defensive line. Elston Jenkins, they released him, their starting center last year. Nate Hobbs, one of their starting cornerbacks, released him. Zane Anderson moving on, as well as Emmanuel Wilson and tackle Rasheed Walker. Any names there stick out to you as key losses for the Green Bay Packers?
The Romeo Dobbs is really intriguing because I I feel like he was the number one option for Green Bay, right? But I'm looking at Malik Willis.
Mhm.
Malik Willis, his development when Jordan Love went down, he was able to come in and give them significant play at the quarterback position, right? Jordan Love has yet to play a full season. Correct me
Right,
if I'm wrong.
right. No, you're right. He's yet to start 17 games in the season. Yeah.
So losing someone like Malik Willis that gives you that ability to win games when your starter's not available is so important. And then there are just names on this list, man. Like you traded Rashawn Gary, your boy Quay Walker,
Yes.
right? I mean, what am I looking at?
Yeah.
What
Yeah. Yeah.
what is going on in Green Bay? So it's hard for me to just pick one, but I feel like Romeo Dobbs, you might have the numbers on this, was probably the top receiver receiving yards for them.
I'm not sure. I had to look that up. My thing about him, man, he just can never stay healthy.
Well, none of
I
the
get,
receivers could stay healthy.
yeah, right, right. None
But
of
when
them,
they
right?
but when they needed
But
to play, when they needed to play, he was the go-to guy.
I was going to say he was the most productive, and he has been the
Right.
most productive since he's been there. And I think they will feel the loss.
Hmm.
And they probably, it was another situation where he probably just got a better contract
Oh yeah,
somewhere else,
definitely.
right?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
because I know that Green Bay wanted to keep him. Willis, yeah, you just couldn't compete with that contract either, right?
Right.
You can only pay a backup quarterback so much. And if he has an opportunity to start, sometimes it may not even be the money. If he has an opportunity to play, he's going to want to play.
Right.
The Rashawn
Malik
Gary
Will
one, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Malik Willis played himself into a starting position.
Yes.
And you can see
And
that throughout the season.
say it again.
You can see that throughout the season that you had a NFL starting quarterback sitting on the bench where he could start for a legitimate 5 to 7 teams in the NFL.
I would, that number would be about right. I would agree with that. I would
Right.
agree with that. But yeah, the Rashawn Gary trade is another salary dump. That's another situation where they're just feeding the cap, just trying to create cap space.
Yeah.
Uh, Jenkins and Hobbs releasing them, they both starters who just didn't play up to their contract, basically. It's in addition to you having to be productive, you got to play up to the contract you have, or teams coming to you and asking you take a pay cut. Most guys don't want to take that pay cut. A lot of guys will recognize where they are in their career, and they'll at least have the conversation. Well, most guys is like, hey, let me hit the street and see what I can get.
Right, right. And I think when I'm looking at the list of losses, losing the two edges and your star edge is probably not going to be back until late October, might signify that they're probably going to pull an edge out in the draft. So I
Yeah,
haven't
they're
looked
gonna
at
have
draft positions yet to see where they're at, but
right. They've got a lot of work to do.
they got a lot of work to
They got
do.
a lot of work to do at that position for sure. And you're just looking at some of their key re-signings. They signed again. They've signed all of their, I won't say all of their. They signed a bunch of their depth guys
Hmm.
back. Um, Nobody of any real significance to me. Just a bunch of their depth guys that
Right.
they like. That I think most teams do, or a lot of teams do, I should say. And then key additions, they're bringing over Javon Hargrave. He played with Minnesota last year. Didn't play up to his usual standard. Thinking that they are thinking that he can come over, maybe a change of scenery, and in their system he can be better. Benjamin St. Juste at least gives them a starting corner that they can run out there. They traded for Zaire Franklin, knowing they had to have somebody to play with Ashton Jenkins. Um, to replace Quay Walker, and
Right.
then trying to bring some productivity over from the wide receiver position. They bring over Sky Moore.
Yeah, there's
Go ahead.
uh, yeah, I'm not sure what they're trying to do on the offensive side of the ball, but Sky Moore is not doing it for me.
No, no. Yeah, I would. I was definitely not thinking in that direction when I said that they, needed to do some work to bring over somebody to replace Dobbs. Um,
Yeah, I mean
he was
you
with when he was with Kansas City. Kansas City was desperate for receivers, right?
right.
So I don't know what happened to him last year in San Francisco. I don't know if he got hurt last year. Though he played every game. What did he have? 17 receptions? No, he had five.
Five. He had five receptions at the 49ers.
He's a former second round pick. There are a lot of times people will think back to the player they saw at draft time, the player
Hmm.
they saw coming out of college, and they're thinking, hey, if we get him in our system, we get him with our techniques, maybe we can get out of him what we thought we saw when he was coming out of college. Sometimes that change of scenery works, but sometimes after 3 years, a guy just is who he is.
Yeah, I think in 2024 he may have been injured, right? Or I don't know. He didn't play any games or he didn't have any receptions in 2024. But it's a 1 year deal. He can also be a kick returner.
He
So
is fast. He has speed. So, maybe they're thinking more return role for him. And
I
that
would
I could
I would
see.
think
Yeah.
so. I would think so because five receptions with the 49ers, and
And
that's a
then
high powered offense.
they're probably thinking, what was the young man's name, the rookie for Green Bay?
Golden.
They're probably thinking Matthew Golden will take a step up
Yeah.
in his second year, and maybe he will help alleviate some of the impact of the loss of Dobbs.
Hmm.
Yeah, they've definitely got some work to do on the offensive side, especially on the offensive line.
Yeah,
And
and
that's
this
difficult, man, because there just aren't very many human beings who are 6'5", 320 with long arms and, junkyard dogs nasty, right?
right.
There just aren't a lot of human beings like that.
Yeah, and then the the other thing I want to say is this there's some Dallas Cowboy shade right here.
Can't resist. Can't resist.
You traded Micah last year, and then you turn around and you trade for Rashawn Gary.
I was gonna say, so in essence, Jerry Jones traded Micah for two first round picks, Rashawn Gary, and oh, I can't think of the defensive lineman name. So
Oh yeah,
basically,
yeah,
they swapped edges, and Green Bay got they swapped edges, they swapped tackles, and Dallas got two first round picks. Right?
exactly, exactly. All of that for two first round picks.
Right.
Good job, Jerry Jones.
I remember there was a
You got the
trade.
picks.
There was an old baseball trade. I can't remember the details of it exactly, but one team felt like they had gotten fleeced and went to the other team afterwards and man, like, no, dude, y'all, they traded a young player who turned out to be a star. Like, no, you didn't give us enough for him. You need to give us something else. And they did this really insignificant trade to give them a couple of extra minor league players for the guy.
Exactly.
So let's
I,
move on and talk about the Minnesota Vikings.
I just want to just just to see Quay Walker's name up there.
Uh-huh.
I can't stop staring at it. Like, why?
Why not? Right? Why not resign the guy? I hear you. Why
I,
let him walk and then trade for Zaire Franklin?
yeah, yeah. So that, yeah,
And I know they, like the Lions, they were up against the cap. In fact, I think, because, yeah, if I remember correctly, the Bears were the only team at the start of free agency. The Bears were the only team under the cap. The other three teams in the division were over the cap, and we're going to have to make these kinds of deals. And I think that's what it was with Walker. He just got fed to the cap.
whew,
And if you're drafting well, you unfortunately are going to have to send guys to the cap because
that's true.
you can't pay everybody you draft, right?
That's
Some of
true.
those guys aren't going to get the contract that they can get somewhere else. I won't necessarily say the contract they deserve, but the contract that they can get somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's like my man, former Pistons coach, Daddy Rich, um,
Oh, Chuck Daly.
Chuck Daly. Like Chuck Daly was famous for saying, it's not about what you're worth, it's about what you can negotiate.
That's true.
So let's move on and talk about the Minnesota Vikings. All right. And some of their key losses, they will lose receiver Jalen Naylor, who was an excellent receiver for them. Center Ryan Kelly retires. So again, that's another team who lost their starting center. So that's three teams in the division who lost their starting center so far. They lose their punter. Doesn't sound like much, but punters are key players on the team. They affect field position. Uh, Fullback CJ Ham retires. They'll
Yeah.
probably find a tight end to replace him. And then the guy who I really think they're going to miss is Harrison Smith in the back end. They let him go. Harrison's probably going to retire. He still hasn't left yet. I mean, still hasn't left yet. They've released him. Trust me, he's left. I mean, he still hasn't retired yet. He hasn't said what he's going to do yet. And then Jonathan Allen along the D line. Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, two interior defensive linemen they had last year, didn't have the greatest of seasons, but I thought that they were both effective in the run game. They let Hargrave walk because they didn't feel like um, they could pay him what he command on the open market. And as we just mentioned, he went over and signed with Green Bay, so he stays in the division. And then
Right.
Jonathan Allen in the middle of the defensive line. They let him go also with salary cap reasons. So
Yeah.
those are the key losses for the uh, Vikings. Anything stand out there for you?
Jalen Naylor stands out. I mean, he was your number two.
Yes.
So Here we go.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
I do want to point out that tomorrow, probably tomorrow, Adam Thielen's gonna announce retirement.
Okay, so yeah, he did. Is he still with the Vikings? Didn't he re-sign with them last season? Or who did he sign with?
He signed with, I don't
He
remember
signed
who
with
they
somebody,
released
right?
him. They released him and he signed with someone late.
Right, right. I can't remember who it was.
But that's just kind of out there.
Yeah,
But Jalen Naylor, I know you got some draft picks coming
yeah,
up, and you brought in Kyler Murray, uh, but who's he gonna throw to besides JJ, Justin Jefferson? So
yeah. You need somebody other than him and Hawkinson. You're gonna need another receiver. You need
right,
a wideout on those underneath routes. You're gonna need a flanker who can go
exactly.
out and catch passes for you. So yeah,
So
I
yeah,
agree with you.
yep. So in 2024 and 2025, he had 28 and 29 receptions, 414 yards in 2024, 444 in 2025. He was averaging 6.5 or 13 yards per reception, six touchdowns in 2024 and four in 2025. So significant production from the young man. Uh, yeah, hey. Sometimes I just have to shake my head.
Yeah, it's it's difficult because it's a numbers game with teams, right?
Right.
That it's going to hurt, and they just can't afford to keep the
They
guy.
can't afford to keep the guy.
Yeah, and they're already over the cap. They've got, in fact, Jonathan Grenard is on the trading block. I hear.
Hmm.
There's been talk of on not social media, mostly on ESPN and the NFL network. Been a lot of talk about him being available. So yeah, they're over the cap. They've got some cap issues. Harrison Smith retiring, just a pro's pro, man. Like you said, and we were talking about the history of the Minnesota Vikings going into their Ring of Honor one day, and one of the great players in Minnesota Vikings history.
Right, right.
And
And
go
last
ahead.
season you hit on it when you were talking about the issues they were having with the salary cap and why they couldn't sign Darnold.
Yes, yes,
Right. And it's just continuing, like it's not getting better for you.
yes, yes.
Right. So I don't I don't know what you do. It looks a little lopsided, the number of losses versus the additions that they have. And uh
I
so,
imagine that uh, next year. Well, real quick, let me run through the top signings. Um, I think Ivan Pace Jr. Again, their top signings are mostly their depth guys. Ivan
mhm,
Pace Jr., one of their rotational linebackers who comes off the edge for them, I think was a key re-signing for them. He probably is a guy who probably could have got a little more in the open market. Probably re-signed with them because he knows how he fits in. Um, what's my man's name? Brian Flores' defense. He
mhm,
knows that he can play in that defense. He knows he can have impact, and probably why he came back there. Again, you and I talked about Kyler Murray being a key addition to the team,
right.
along with James Pierce coming over. Devere Smith, I think, is going to be more of a depth player for them also. But Kyler Murray coming over at quarterback to start for them. Oh, no, they said he's not the starter. He's coming over to compete with JJ. Uh,
Look,
okay, let's not hurt JJ's feelings. Okay. Kyler is here to compete.
Kyler, all right. Yes, Kyler is there to compete. Kyler is your number one.
Yeah.
That going into the how do I want to say this? Kyler's your number one until JJ proves that he is the number one. They're not going to give it to him. You see what I'm saying? He's got to go out there and perform. So when and it's a 1 year,
Yeah.
it's a 1 year deal. And
Or is it JJ's job to lose? If long
I
term,
don't know if you agree with me, but JJ already lost the job. This is why you go and you get a Kyler Murray. This is why we were talking about you should look at Malik Willis. This is why we were talking about you needed to bring someone else in because he lost the job last
yeah,
year.
the
He
fact that
lost
they,
the job. He lost Justin Jefferson. He's lost the coaching staff. So when I say, and I'm not kidding about this, I do a lot of joking. When I say that Kyler Murray is your number one until JJ can prove that he's the number one, I mean that. I believe that because it's a 1 year deal for them. And so
right,
if if Kyler hits, they sign him to a long-term deal, and JJ's out.
yeah.
JJ becomes a backup. So, and he can't be a backup in Minnesota. He's got to go somewhere else.
I
So
was
they
going to
they
say,
put together a trade package. He's out.
does the signing of Kyler Murray cost them, JJ? Now, I understand he's under team control for 7 years. He can't go anywhere for 7 years, but he can force their hand those last 3 years. Because
Does it
this
cost him JJ?
after JJ, after the end of this season, Minnesota has to decide whether they're going to sign him to his 5th year option.
Look, Kyler Murray will be 30. What?
Next year,
Next year?
because he's 28, right? Or is he
He's
29?
28,
I thought
28
he
or
was
29.
28. I thought he was 28.
Okay. My point is that Kyler Murray, as far as current quarterbacks and the development and growth of the quarterbacks in the NFL currently, it's usually between 28 and 30 when they start to hit the stride and the game slows down for
Yeah,
them.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
So the upside for Kyler, if he's 28, you're talking about, and he stays healthy, you're talking about
Yeah.
4 to 6 year
And
run.
yeah,
And you're probably, and if he does well this season, you're probably going to sign him to at least a 3 year contract with an option for a fourth year, right?
yeah.
So why are you holding on to JJ McCarthy when you can package him, get you some get you some draft picks down the line,
Who
maybe
would
get a
take
nice
him?
little trade.
Who would take him?
There's a coach out in San Diego.
And then what do you realistically think they would be willing to give up for him?
Oh, I have no idea.
Because
Uh,
eventually you got to let the guy go. You can't hold
Eventually
on.
you do.
You
Eventually you
can't
do have
keep
to
both
release
of
him.
them. So if they do that, they will have rendered JJ a useless asset. He will only be good as a backup.
Right. And
If Kyler beats him out, if Kyler is their starting quarterback this year, JJ can never. I don't think JJ will ever play for them again
no, he
because they
won't.
have to decide at the end of the year whether they're going to pick up the 5th year option.
Right.
If Kyler plays well, they're not going to pick it up, which means 27 will be his last season with them because he'll just be a free agent after that.
There you go.
Or Kyler goes out and stinks it up. Now they have an issue.
They
Kyler
have an
gets
issue.
hurt and they have to put JJ in. Now they have an issue.
Right.
Now they have to sign JJ to the 5th year option. And then if you're JJ after the 5th year, don't sign the contract. Wait and make them franchise you.
Mm-hmm.
Go the Kirk Cousins route at that point. Keep
Right.
making them franchise you or give you the deal you want.
Right. The problem, yeah.
The problem with if they give you the deal you want, you could end up being a Tua situation.
exactly.
Yeah.
But the issue is that JJ doesn't have a lot of great tape out there,
No,
and
he doesn't. He does. He's got no leverage.
he's got no leverage.
He's
So
got no leverage. But yeah, he has no leverage here. That's why he has to just take what's coming to him, right? And
yeah, but for the Vikings,
the only thing he can do is go out and play. If he goes out on the field and outplays Kyler Murray, that would be the only thing he could do.
exactly. So for the Vikings, you're hoping that Kyler Murray is not only good on the field, but also good in the locker room, because that's been an issue that the Cardinals tried to address.
Oh, got
With,
you, got you,
right,
got you.
right.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes,
you're hoping that he has matured and the change of scenery and everything clicks. We're talking about a lot of stuff that has to happen
right, right.
for Kyler Murray this year. And he might ball out, and another team might be like, yeah, we want you. And then the Vikings are out again, right?
Yes,
Because
yeah,
he's gonna be a free agent. So a lot of stuff has to happen for Kyler Murray to ball out with the Vikings, and for the Vikings to say, okay, we're good with this year. We think we see what we need and what we have in Kyler, so we're going to offer him this deal. But you talk about it all the time. They're up against the they're up against the ceiling of the cap, or
yes,
they're over the cap. So
yes,
yeah, but it's a nice 1 year rental,
yeah.
definitely.
It is. It's a nice 1 year rental. Um, and it'll be interesting to see how the thing plays out. Because, like you said, it could go a lot of different directions, and it all depends on the performance of Kyler Murray.
Right, exactly.
All right, and then let's go to would it be mean of me to say, let's go to a statement we're familiar in saying, and that's the last place team in the division, the Detroit Lions. Was that unnecessary? Was that piling on? And let's talk about some of the changes here. Let's start with some of the key losses for the Lions. Losing Ray Lopez along the D line. They lose Alex Anzalone, Al-Qadim Muhammad, Amik Robinson, backup quarterback Kyle Allen, the aforementioned Khalif Raymond, backup linebacker Grant Stewart. And then they released Taylor Decker. They released Graham Glasgow. Josh Pascal was released, and they traded David Montgomery. What are some of the names there you see as key losses that you think will impact the team? Or what stands out as key losses for you?
That's a lot of names, bro.
Yeah.
That's that's a lot of names, but the key one for me is Anceloni, and I know that they couldn't keep him as far as like what he was gonna get out there in the open market.
hmm
Um, so yeah, that's the key for me is you lost a great, I won't say great, a really high end linebacker
Yes.
that
Yes.
fit the culture of Detroit and the
Yes.
Detroit Lions.
Yes.
So that's the number one for me. The rest of them, I mean, it's hard to just the Lions got, and we talked about this with Chicago. The Lions probably have the most work to do.
Yes.
Like you got the key losses, you got the top re-signings. I think they probably have another 40 plus players that they can either re-sign or let them walk.
Yes.
So I mean, we're talking about
One crap
an
load.
overhaul of the team. Yes, you're going to have some of your key players coming back, or most of your key players coming back, but this is a major overhaul. This is this is legitimately like we're almost starting over, right? The way what I'm seeing.
Yeah, your team turns over every you'll probably turn over about 20% of your team every year. that number is going to be higher for the Lions this year. It's going
Yeah.
to be closer to 30%
Yeah.
this year. Um, Taylor Decker didn't want to take a pay cut, right?
Right.
He's basically a cap casualty. Graham Glasgow probably will retire. Josh Pascal couldn't stay healthy. David Montgomery didn't like his role, right?
Right.
He wanted a bigger role, so they had to move him on. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Anzalone, I agree with you. He was one of the first free agents signed by Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes when they first took over the team. So yeah, losing him, I think, will affect the defense also. Uh, it'll be harder to replace him than I think most fans believe, because I think he's as good as like a Dre Greenlaw. Dre Greenlaw has been a Pro Bowl player in the NFL, but when you're playing next to Fred Warner, it's easier to be that impact player. I think had Anzalone been playing next to Fred Warner, I think he would have been a Pro Bowl player also. So yeah, his loss hurts. I think Ray Lopez on the defensive line hurts. Uh, Big, huge, fast human beings who play in the line just are hard to find. So him going back to Arizona, I think will impact the team also.
Yeah. And the thing about Ancellotti too is Brian Branch was hurt a lot last season,
Hmm.
and he was hurt at the end of the season.
Yeah,
So again, you you can't rely on, I love Brian Branch, right?
yeah,
But you God, you just Anzalone was holding it down. He
yes,
was holding it down.
yes.
And we what there's a question mark on Brian Branch as far as like what this health's going to be when he's coming
Anytime
back
there's an
from.
Achilles injury, to me, there's a question on the guy. You don't
Yeah,
know when, if or when that guy's going to come back.
exactly.
And do you
Exactly.
remind me of my son? When you say I love so and so, you always say that just before you crap on the guy. My son does that. I know he's about to crap on somebody. Here we go. Okay, wait. I love Teddy Bridgewater. Then there's a butt coming.
Right, 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 right. But it's it's important, right? It's like, okay, you- Lions got a lot of holes to fill. They got a lot
They've
of
got
holes.
some
And
work to
like I
do.
said, they probably have over 40 players that they either are going to release or end up re-signing. And most of them are probably practice practice
Practice
team and all that
squad
kind of
guys.
stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, there's just a lot there.
yeah. Looking at their additions, I think um, Cade Mays will probably end up starting for them. I think at center, he'll probably come over and start. And I thought when the season ended, Tate Ratledge might end up being the starting center. But them going out and signing Cade Mays tells me they want to keep Ratledge at right guard and will probably start Mays at center.
Hmm.
Larry Borum and who else was it? Tyler Conklin are both local guys. They're both from the Detroit area. Larry Borum is from Oak Park. Tyler Conklin um, went to Central Michigan. He's from somewhere in Macomb County. I forget where in Macomb County. I know he went to Lance Cruz. So there are a couple of local guys. Teddy Bridgewater returns as the backup quarterback.
Right.
And they still, like you said, they still have a lot of work to do. Most of the guys that they signed, except for and Christian Izine, coming over from Tampa, will probably play a lot for them. Probably replacing Amik Robertson as their slot corner. I can see him starting there and playing a lot of snaps. But Cade Mays is probably the only guy they signed so far who will be a starter for them. And Tyler
Exactly.
Conklin, I think, could be also. Tyler Conklin will probably replace Brock Wright as the starting tight end um, when they go to their 12 personnel.
Yeah,
Any names there stick
right.
out?
Because you have problems at tight end. Both of them ended up being injured, right? And then Tom Kennedy was your tight end. So
Right.
yeah. And the Lions have the 17th draft pick, so I could see them taking a tight end.
Hey, it's you get yourself into trouble when you start. Well, we'll talk more about that when the draft comes. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am always one of those best player available guys. We'll
right.
we'll we'll talk
Yeah,
about that more as we get closer to the draft. But
yes,
yeah,
yes.
Christian Isaiah, I think. Oh, you know what? And I forgot Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco replacing David Montgomery. He runs angry like Montgomery. I'm concerned, even though he seemed to be effective for the Chiefs in short yardage. I'm always concerned when you're relying on a smaller back to be your short yardage guy and not a big body guy. And right now they don't have a big body back on the roster at all.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna say I like Isaiah Pacheco, but
Took me a second.
listen,
You threw me off with a nod.
that's right. That's right. When your quarterback is the leading rusher for 2 seasons in a row, it's not a good look for the running back room.
Yeah,
I don't know what Isaiah Pacheco is going to bring for the Detroit Lions. I think it is. I, f- I feel like it's a downgrade from Montgomery, which is probably needed because you need to feature Gibbs. You're going to give him a max out contract. So you do have to kind of like, how can I say this? You do have to pull the Ferrari out of the garage and drive it more often, right?
I hear you. I
Right.
hear you.
So Isaiah Pacheco being the backup and the
Uh-huh.
short yardage guy makes sense. And if he's effective, then it works. But this is not a dual running back backfield.
No, I think
This is
they
Gibbs'
were getting
backfield.
away from it last year, right?
Yeah,
And that's why Montgomery wanted to move on because he could, regardless of whether he had stayed, Jameer Gibbs' role was going to increase, right?
exactly.
So
Exactly.
Pacheco probably is more suited for that role. The reason Patrick Mahomes was the leading rusher and not Isaiah, he just couldn't stay healthy.
Right.
He was hurt all the time, or hurt a lot, I should say.
Yeah.
So yeah, from that perspective, I think he's more suited for that role than a David Montgomery. Um, Given the thing about Jameer Gibbs, though, as we were doing our research for the history of the teams in the division and looking at all-time players and looking at all-time running backs, man, it was incredible to me how many years guys like Barry Sanders and Billy Sims and Walter Payton and all the backs that played with him had over 300 carries, right?
Right.
And I don't think either Sir Isaiah Pacheco has proven he's not built for 300 carries, right?
Right. Right.
And I don't believe Jameer Gibbs is either. And I think it's important to have another player on the roster who can give you a similar skill set so that you don't have to run any different kind of offense when you change backs.
Yeah.
From that perspective, I think Pacheco can be very effective for the
Yeah,
Lions.
he's a better fit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that wraps up the teams and the updates for all of the teams in the division. Um, we talked about teams and work that they still have left to do. Any players in particular or anybody in particular you think one of the teams should go after?
Well, if you're, we talk about this all the time. It's like Detroit needs another edge or some type of impact
Mhm.
rusher. I don't know how much Joey Bosa has left, but that seems like a nice fit for the Lions. There's some receivers out there that could go to any team, and we're talking about in Minnesota, like we're down to just Justin Jefferson for a receiver. Do you bring in a Tyreek Hill? Do you bring in a Jawan Jennings? Stephon Diggs is out there, right?
I was gonna ask you, do they dare bring back Stephon Diggs?
It might get him to settle down a little bit
Yeah.
being in Minnesota.
Wasn't that where it all started for him? Yeah.
And then we also talked about with Minnesota too. You should have a veteran backup quarterback because the two quarterbacks that you have can't stay healthy. So Kirk Cousins is out there, right? So hey,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think they're going to have a hard time finding another veteran who wants to
yeah,
go and be a number three. They're going to have a hard time with that, I think. I think they're going to eventually just end up with, um, yeah, my man, I can't, his name eludes me. The guy who was the third string last year
Brosmer,
who went in, Brosmer. I think
Brosmer,
Brosmer, that's what it was.
Brosmer,
Brosmer.
Brosmer, Brosmer.
He's a bro. Yeah,
He's a pro.
Brosmer is going to end up being man.
And then quietly, two of my favorite players, Debo Samuelson,
Debo's, yeah,
Debo's out there. I mean, he could be an effective wide receiver and running back. I mean, the way they used him in San
San
Francisco,
Fran, yeah.
man, he was so effective. And then my other one is David Njoku at tight end. Man, come on now. How is he still sitting out here?
You know, his thing is I hate to use this phrase about him, but it too often applies, right? He's one of those guys who looks like Tarzan but plays like Jane. You know, his physical assets does not match his production. And it's just
Yeah.
like, and he shows you flashes, right? There are
Hmm.
flashes when that dude there is a beast. Then he goes 2, 3 games where he gives you nothing. So he scares you that way. Hassan Reddick is the same way. He's an edge who's out there. Hassan is the same way. He seems to be a beast in moments and then go games where you wonder if he's even on the roster. But
Right.
out there available, able to be an edge rusher for you. And a lot of these, AJ Epineza is another one. AJ is a guy with a high motor.
Hmm.
So if you need a defensive end, AJ to me is more your guy. If
Okay.
you want an edge rusher, Hassan Reddick is probably more the guy. And the fewer snaps Hassan plays, I think the more effective he'll be. It's just been a while since he's really had his 10. He won like 4 straight seasons with 10 sacks or more. And I
Hmm.
don't think he has in the last 3 seasons now. One of them was because he decided to sit out with a contract dispute. I will say this, gentlemen, I have never seen anybody sit out for a contract dispute that it positively impacted their career. They
Right.
may have gotten the dollars that they wanted, but in almost every instance, they were never the player that they were prior to signing that contract, man. That sitting out and not preparing to play usually sets guys back and they never seem to recover.
Yeah. And then the other one that I'm keeping an eye on is Tyler Decker. He hasn't been
Taylor,
signed yet. Yeah, come on back to Detroit, accept that pay
see,
cut.
Taylor Decker, 3 names: Taylor Decker, Cam Jordan, and who was the other one? There's a Pittsburgh. I can't think of his name, but those two in particular are guys who are out there available who feel like they can get a better deal than what their teams offer them. I have a feeling both of them are going to end up going back to their teams
Right.
Dak may not. It may be a pride thing with Dak, right? It's like, no, I gave that organization 10 years, and they wanted to cut my salary. Yeah, so I can see that. I think Cam Jordan's already been through that with the Saints. Cam Jordan or Calais Campbell would not be a bad option as a defensive end for anybody. Neither one of them are going to be a long-term answer for you. But if you're a team like anybody in our division, because all of the teams in our division are capable of winning the division, and if you
Yep.
need somebody to come out and to be opposite of the guy you currently have, either of those guys I think would be great options. Calais Campbell, um, Hassan Reddick, and who was the other one I said? Cam Jordan.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Anybody else that's out there that you
The only one, and I hate to even go here, but I have to. Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
oh
Uh, and this is outside of the division completely, except
okay.
the only tie is he is one of the greatest Green Bay Packers ever.
Yeah.
But him at this age, still
42?
contemplating whether or not he wants to play is just odd to me, man. It's just I get if you're thinking about retiring, man, go ahead, retire. If you can't dedicate you can't give the game that same passion, time, and attention you gave it at 35, then just move on, man. Just move on.
Yeah, there were moments last year in watching him where it was just like he had to have those, in the movies when they say, you're probably wondering how I ended up here.
Yeah.
It looked like several times a game he had that look on his face where he was just like, what am I doing? Why am I
Yeah,
still
how
doing
did
this?
I end up here? Why am I here? Yeah, yeah.
And then he just has an aversion to being hit. Like he does not want to hit the ground. So
Yeah,
when your mentality is that I don't want to be hit and I'm gonna get this ball out as quickly as possible so I don't get hit, your 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 margin for success shrinks, right? Like sometimes you gotta get hit, but you'll make a better throw, right? Because you're giving your receiver more time to get open and
yeah.
you can see it,
I
right?
think that's where you see the age in Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
Because I don't think it's that he doesn't want to be hit. I don't think those throws snap the way they used to, where the body just doesn't, he's not that twitch athlete he used to be, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
I think it looks like he is more concerned about the rush, more concerned about getting the ball out quickly. He just doesn't have that twitch anymore, man.
Right.
He really, it's time for him, and he played with more athleticism than a Brady or a Manning, right?
Hmm.
So as his athleticism has waned, it has impacted his game more than it did for a Brady because he never relied on his athletic ability anyway.
Right. Because we saw what his athletic ability was at the
And so,
combine. And they remind us every year they run that they run that 40 for Tom Brady every year.
somebody walked up to Jared Goff. I can't remember. I think it was Sweat, the defensive end from the Packers. I saw a video where he walks up to Goff at the Pro Bowl, puts his arm around him, and he said, "Does it bother you that you're not that athletic?" And Goff looks
Oh,
at him. He says, "We are amongst the 1% of the best athletes in the world. I'm athletic."
right. Exactly.
Yeah, if
Exactly.
you compare him, if he goes down to because I was thinking about a story I heard about Tom Brady about that I can't remember who told the story, but there was some charity event that he played in Boston, and it was like professional athletes. They weren't necessarily basketball players, but it's like they were playing firemen in a charity basketball game. And the athletes were losing, and they said Brady went in the huddle and just started going off on everybody. We're not about to get beat by a bunch of firemen. And so my man just went out and started raining threes. So you see him on the football field. He doesn't look athletic. You put him in anybody's rec league, he's probably the best athlete in the gym that day.
He went back to high school. He was like, "Man, these threes." But hey, this goes back to the discussion we were having. Play multiple sports, kids.
Play multiple sports. Yes, play as many sports as you can. And I heard, I was talking to somebody, they were talking about their son didn't want to play on a travel team, didn't want to play baseball on a travel team. He wanted to play on his community team because that's where his friends were playing. I mean, the kid just wants to go out and have fun. Now, he may be good enough to play on a travel team, but he wants to go out and have fun with his friends because the sport he really wants to play is hockey.
Yeah.
But when he's playing baseball, he's like, go out and play all the sports you can play, every one of them. Yes.
And there's something to the joy of sports, right?
Yeah.
And this goes back to last night in Venezuela versus
World
US.
Baseball Classic.
And even before the game started, I said to my wife, Venezuela's going to win. She goes, why? It's because they enjoy playing the game.
Yeah.
This is not work for them.
Not at all.
US, these players, they're looking like this is a grind. I don't be here.
Right. Most of the U.S. guys are already thinking about their next destination. They're thinking about their flight out. I'm going back and joining my team tomorrow. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
I said these young men playing baseball for Venezuela, they enjoy the game and they enjoy each other.
Yes.
So that's why they're going to win.
Yes.
Because this is what the game is about. You can't win the game if you're mean mugging the whole time.
Yeah.
So to your point, let your son play.
You're big time in the event, right? You're thinking you're more important than the event. Then I agree.
Exactly. Let your son play with his friends. He's gonna have a great time. He'll probably develop a lot quicker, even if he is the best player on the team. But just let the kids have fun.
If you let him play with his friends and he starts to have fun, if he starts to realize he is so much better than everybody else, that it's not competitive, it's going to stop being fun for him, and then he's going to want to go on the travel team. Let him make the decision. Don't drive the kid one way or the other.
Absolutely.
Well, my man, that's all I have this week. Go ahead and put a bow tie on this episode.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. You know, Will and I love talking football, but when we're not breaking down the NFC North, we're helping people buy, sell, or invest in real estate. If you have questions about your next move, don't fumble the ball. Contact us for a winning game plan in real estate. Fellas, share the pod with your buddies. Ladies, share it with your crew. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't be a knucklehead. Drop us that 5-star rating.
Yeah, appreciate all the comments. Appreciate everyone listening. I met my man, what was his name? Greg Brock at a party yesterday. Another realtor I know. Shout out to my girl, Siobhan. Let us come over and trash our house and eat up her food, drink up her liquor. When I met him there, he was the Lions Fan of the Year in 2021. And we were just chopping it up a little bit about the Lions and, progress. And my man's a season ticket holder. So certainly appreciate him. He said he's going to start listening to the podcast. Looking forward to hearing his comments about the Lions and the teams in the division and where we go from here. So, folks, again, as my man Tellis said, appreciate everyone listening. We thank you so much. Thank you for all those comments. Continue to send those comments in, and we will see you next time.
Yes, sir.